What's going down, everybody? Welcome back. This is part 2 of our altered art tutorial intro. Same day, got super windy. I hope that the microphone doesn't pick up wind, but we're now under tornado warning. If the windows behind me were open, you'd see all the trees are blowing all crazy. So we're back. Last time we went over some supplies, workstation, lighting, cleanliness, paint, cost, blah, blah, blah. We went over all that. Today, we are going to, I'm just scanning the work area here. Today, we're going to go over some of the more advanced supplies that if you have tried painting cards in the past, maybe you want these extra couple things. Maybe you just have money falling out of every orifice in your body and you can just buy them, or maybe you want to get more serious and you're wondering how to take your altered art game to the next level. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to tilt the camera down and then we are going to get at it. Before I do though, big thank you to all the patrons. The other thing before I tilt down the camera, I can see in the background, this guy, this is an interesting little instrument. I got this for Christmas, I think, one year. And I don't use it very often, but maybe it's worth mentioning if anybody has, like, maybe if your grandpa used to like polish stones or something, you know, maybe he's got one of these. This is a big magnifying glass. It's adjustable. And I can see the dust on it. And sometimes I'll hold a card under it. Like if I'm painting in the evening and I don't have all the natural light, there's 5 windows in this room. If I don't have the natural light and I can't see like the difference between maybe like black paint and the dark black border of a black card, this guy's got a little light on him. I don't know if you can, it's got a little light and I can just go under there and I can see my line a little bit nicer to know what to do with it. So I don't know, I use that not very often, but it does exist if you don't have as good of eyesight as you might require to do this. So that's that. I'm going to tilt the camera down now. We'll look at everything we need to look at. Get a nice picture of the microphone with the sock in there. Hopefully I don't bump anything. And of course the recording live as we go. So there's all the paint. We talked about that last time. I didn't touch on things like paint that you need versus paint that you don't. So let me just get into that real quick. I know I said last week, I said white, brown, and black. Need those. After you get those, you're going to be like, oh, I'm not going to paint in black and white, Ryan. What else do I need? You're going to need a blue, a green, a yellow, and a red, sure. Like, you can make everything that you need from like these colors and like these, but to make it easy on ourselves, I mean, why don't we just spend the extra couple bucks on yellow, right? This is True Blue, Kelly Green. I don't know if anybody actually cares about this, but this is an old one, so like it's worn down. It just says red. Just buy red. This is Hansa Yellow. This is Burnt Sienna. I don't know if anybody's ever watched Bob Ross or who's the other guy? The Jerry Darnell, whatever. Titanium White, that's a Bob Ross staple. And then, of course, this is just gloss black. All these colors are fairly glossy. All the goldens are fairly glossy. The deco art stuff is not glossy. It's fairly flat. So it also gives you the opportunity when you mix like this with this, it's going to give you like a sort of satin finish. And that's kind of how cards are finished. So when you're mixing things that aren't completely gloss, it's going to give you a really close finish to how the card looks anyways. Those are what I consider to be your primary palette. That's what I would recommend. After that, I call it Niv Mizzet Teal. It's teal. I use it for lightning sometimes. This is Vat Orange, Phyrexian Vat Orange. I don't know, I'm making up names now. This is Brilliant Purple. I call it like, it's like a sunsetty kind of cloud purple. I use that for skies and water lots. And this is Ultramarine Blue. This is a super deep blue. Again, great for nighttime skies, water. And of course, when you mix these teals and purples together with this Ultramarine Blue, it like gives you the deepest, nicest colors. So these ones you don't need, but they do make life easier. So, and then of course, gold, silver. I use them when I do like space paintings, or I've been doing like a couple wedding pieces lately where I actually use gold or silver to paint the actual wedding rings. So those are cool too. Next couple things we're going to need. A straight edge. Straight edge is important when you're cleaning a card up. So when you paint the card, paint's going to go everywhere. Paint is going to be everywhere. I'm going to put this where you can sort of see it, which is like nowhere. That sucks. Paint is going to go everywhere. And what you can do with a straight edge is line the straight edge up along the bottom of the card, like so. And with a toothpick, sorry guys, that's just crap light. Where has it got to be? There? No. With a toothpick, you can scrape along that straight edge and you're going to make a very straight line. Now it's important, like hold everything down and lock it down hard and use a straight edge. So it doesn't need to be a triangle, it can be a ruler. Lots of people recommend that you get metal ones because when you use a knife, you aren't going to start to gouge into that straight edge and wear it down over time. But I like the plastic ones because I can see through them. So that's that. Toothpicks, they are useful for cleaning, like, when cards get like those little dots on them from dirty hands when they haven't been sleeved. You can clean that off. You can clean paint off. You can sort of like, I don't know, create an effect with a toothpick on some wet paint. Mostly you can do that with brushes, but toothpicks are going to help you clean the card and you need them. And I have always tons of them. And I also have this. This is actually called like a rub sharpener or rubber sharpener. You can get rolled up like pieces of paper that are sharpened that you like smudge pencil with. Well, I actually use these to rub like this or like this and sharpen my toothpicks, or to actually sharpen to rub right on the end of the toothpick. There you go. To dull the toothpick, because you don't always want a sharp one. Or if it breaks, if you break it on purpose to make it sharper and it's too sharp, you can actually damage the card. So you don't need this, and it's just sandpaper, but I have it, and it was like, they're $1. So if you have one, good. If you don't, doesn't matter. The knife I mentioned, the knife, same thing. Let's say I'm doing like an extended art. Let's take this one, for example. This is a space piece. Got it here. I'll put this on the very top line like this. Line it up with the top pin line. That's what that line is called. And I'll actually score it just a little bit. I won't cut into the card with it. I'll cut it like this, right? And then I'll switch where my straight edge is. I'll use the toothpick to clean from the underneath, and that line that I scored through the paint is just going to peel right off on a straight line instead of having to scrape and rip the paint, because sometimes these gloss paints, they'll actually rip off the card instead of rubbing off where the toothpick is. So when you can score them first and then you're creating a little bit of a break line, it's just going to rip right off where you scored instead of ripping off the card. So that's that. Knife is good. I have got, of course, mechanical pencil. I've got a 6B pencil. This is a very soft lead, and of course a pencil sharpener that goes along with it. Very soft lead that you could flip over something and like fill in the whole back of it. Right? Fill in the whole back of it like that. Flip it back over, and then use a toothpick or a fine tip pen and draw directly onto the card. It's like carbon copy or tracing onto the card. Sorry, I bumped the thingy. It's like tracing onto the card. It's a popular technique that lots of people use for like doing cartoons or anime type stuff onto cards. So then it's just like fill in the color after you've got the outline. So that's a popular thing. Along with my pencils, I've got a stencil. This is important for those space pieces, getting a very round planet. This is how you do it. Scissors, because sometimes you need to cut a piece of paper or a card out to mask something else off, right? Like if I'm making a space piece and I want to get a splatter of stars from a paintbrush, but I don't want this, if I don't want the actual brain to get any paint on it, I'll cut something out with my scissors and put it on there. The other option would be just to take a toothpick, and if there's splatter on here, you just scrape it all off, but that's fairly time consuming for me. So it's sometimes quicker just to cut out something, a sleeve even, or like I have here, you know, you can put this down half covering something, and then when you splatter paint onto it, you move that, and then underneath was all masked off, right? It's like masking tape when you're painting, you know, a wall or something. Last couple things here. I've got toothbrush. You can dip this in paint and kind of just do this with it. Aim it, of course, down at the card, and it's going to give you a very fine spray of paint. I've got a couple other sizes of brushes and a couple like really crappy old brushes. I don't know if you can see that, but it's all beat up and crappy. This is what I use to like dip in really watered down white paint, and then I just like flick it, and that's what gives me like stars when I do my space pieces. So I'm giving away all my super secret tech, but the hope is to let people try it themselves and make their own altars, right? So last thing I want to mention, this is a weird brush, and again, all the supplies today, other than the toothpicks and the straight edge, you don't really need. And this one is the same. This is a really long bristled brush. Let's see if I can see how long those bristles are. And the longer the bristles, the more paint it's going to hold. We talked about that last time. So if I have like a big, long panorama piece that's maybe like 5 or 6 cards long and I want one solid line, I'll soak this whole the whole bristle up, and I'll do one big long line. So if you're into like really long filigree type looking pieces, something like this with really long bristles is what you're going to have to need, or what you're going to have to get. So that's that. Thanks for being here again. I hope that you learned a bunch of stuff and you saw some little secrets and tricks like masking and using toothpicks and stuff. So big thank you to all the patrons. You make it all possible. Go out, get some paint, or if anybody wants to switch with anybody else, maybe I'll dig up some of my old altars and I'll show my first few. I think I know where they are, and that's inspiration for me to see how far I've come, and I hope it can be used as inspiration for you guys to show you where I started. So thanks. I'll see you on the next installment.